Hi, welcome to a Choices History Moment. I'm your host. My name is Dennis, and today we're going to talk about a famous murderer. Well, a murderess, perhaps you should say. Her name was Mary Bateman, and she was born in 1768 in Yorkshire, which is the very top of England near the Scottish border. And she was raised by a reputable farm family, and at the age of 13, she did as many young girls did in those days, became a servant in a household, but eventually she was fired for petty theft. Fired again from other jobs for the same reason. Eventually, she married. But her husband eventually got tired of her and the fact that she became a thief and a con man, and he joined the army and was gone, leaving her to raise their daughter by herself. She became a very successful con woman, telling her victims that she had supernatural powers and she was a fortune teller, a soothsayer, as they said in those days, claimed that she had charms that could ward off evil and potions that acted as medicine. In 1806, she created a hoax called the Prophet Hen of Leeds. She claimed that she had a hen that would lay eggs that could predict the end times. Villagers all around were really abuzz when the eggs begin to show up from the hen, etched in the side of the egg the words, "Christ is coming." This worked for a while and got her a lot of business as a prophetess and a fortune teller, until someone figured out what she was doing was using acid to etch the words into the eggshells and then poking the eggs back into the chicken so people would see the chicken lay the eggs with the words, "Christ is coming" on them. Nobody in the village was happy about this, particularly the chickens. However, she continued on with her shenanigans, conning people in many different ways. There was a big fire and several families were made homeless, so she went door to door collecting money and goods for the family, which she kept for herself. Finally, she found the ultimate suckers. She found William and Rebecca, who were convinced that Rebecca's chest pains were caused by a curse that had been put upon her. And so, for a few years, they began to pay Mary for charms, magic words written on paper, and medicine in the form of a pudding that she would make for them to eat to ward off the evil spirits and the curse. Well, over time, Rebecca got worse. She ate a lot of the medicine, and she died. William continued for 2 more years buying charms and eating the medicine, even though he didn't like it very much, and so he ate only a little bit. But eventually, he got sick, and someone explained to him that the charms were not really magic symbols, they were just nonsense written on paper. And he became suspicious and made a complaint to the police. Well, the police searched her home, and they found poison, as well as many belongings of things stolen from local people, including William and Rebecca. So she was put on trial. The trial only lasted 11 hours, and only took a few minutes for the jury to find her guilty of murder and sentence her to death by hanging. But she immediately proclaimed that she was pregnant and couldn't be hung according to English law. So the judge set up a panel of 12 matrons, or married women, to examine her and determine whether or not she was in fact pregnant. The 12 matrons, upon her examination, swore that she was not pregnant and was subject to execution. At this point, she had a daughter and an absent husband. It is said she mailed her wedding ring to her husband in the army with a letter that he needed to come and get their daughter. And that was how she said goodbye to him. And she was hanged along with 2 men on Monday the 20th, March 1809. After the execution, her body was put on public display, and strips of her flesh were turned into leather and sold as magic charms to ward off evil. She went down in local history as the Witch of Yorkshire. and her legend continues on. There's a public house named after her there, and people still tell this tale, even though it's been over 200 years ago. Mary Bateman, the Witch of Yorkshire. Well, this has been another Choices History Moment. I appreciate you tuning in. Be sure to subscribe and like us so you can join us again another day. I appreciate you. Thanks.